But now I want to just pull back a little bit and describe how the world used to be. I remember 12 years ago, as a junior doctor in charge of a coronary care unit in a small DGH, being in there and a patient being admitted overnight who was very poorly, transferred him from the casualty department to the coronary care unit. He had a cardiac arrest on the coronary care unit, and I was trained to do the advanced life support, do ECGs and do the blood tests and start new drugs. But this gentleman, having had a cardiac arrest, had a further cardiac arrest, and a third one, and a fourth one, and a fifth one, and I was up all night trying to sort him out, doing multiple ECGs, lots of blood test results, pouring all sorts of drugs into him. And by 9 o'clock at night in the morning, I was absolutely, this was in the days when as a doctor you were working 24 hours non-stop. By 9 in the morning I was absolutely exhausted. Anyway, the consultant then came round for the ward round, and normally we'd go around the whole hospital, and then the final place would go to the coronary care unit. But because this particular gentleman had been particularly poorly, I asked if the consultant would go around to the coronary care unit first and review everything that I'd done, because I was a junior doctor, and just make sure that everything was as it could be and that I hadn't made any mistakes. I had copious notes written down. He went through them all one by one and looked at all the ECGs, and at the end of it he said, "Well done, Ari, you've done a good job there, and you've done everything right and everything's okay." Well, by then I was absolutely exhausted, so you could see how tired I was. He said, "Come on, let's go and get some coffee, you look tired." So we sat down and drank coffee, and while we were sat drinking this coffee, he goes, "Do you know what I used to do when I was at your stage as an SHO back in the 60s? Do you know what we used to do for someone with a heart attack back in the early 60s? Any idea? Have a guess."
Give them aspirin.
Give them an aspirin.
This is what he used to do. He'd put you in a bed
Bed rest.
and told you you weren't allowed to move for 6 weeks.
That's correct.
The nurse would do everything for you, all your personal needs and whatnot. And after 6 weeks, you climbed out of bed and you were cured. And that was it. It's not as ECGs and angiograms and exercise tests and what's your cholesterol, lipid profile, and do we need to put a pacemaker in, any of that. 6 weeks, you got out of bed and you were cured. Or, guess what? What was the alternative?
Yeah.
You died. That was it. It was dead easy. There was none of this checking blood pressures and listening to chests or anything like that. That's how it used to be. But look how it is now. We're checking your cholesterol, we're checking, putting people on beta blockers, defibrillator, checking your weight, exercise testing, MyoView scans, angioplasty, echo, troponin T levels, doing a cabbage bypass, looking at your diet, omega fats, HDL levels, pacemaker, opiate drugs, coronary stent, keeps going, TPA, aspirin, someone mentioned it, streptokinase, cardiac rehabilitation, insulin, exercise again, blood pressure, angiogram, ECG. Hey! And of course, our very heart we never had one of those before back in the 60s, have we? We've got that now. And I'm sure there's a whole load of other things that Dr. Puri will to tell us about that are over. But look at how complicated heart management has now become compared to 30, 40 years ago. Well,